Go ahead. All right, folks, good evening, early evening. Today is September 26, 2022. This is the September meeting of the Indianapolis Public Library Board. I'm going to call the meeting to order. You good? Yeah, we're good. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Angie, can we have a call to roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Bierman.
Present.
Mr. Bixby.
Present.
Dr. Matata. Present. Ms. Kane.
Present.
Dr. Robinson.
Present.
Judge Salinas.
Present.
And Mr. Gold. Present. Thank you.
We do have four. Item 3, the public comment and communications. At every board meeting, we open time for public comment. We welcome feedback from the public about our Indianapolis Public Library. And this is the time when the public may address the library board. If there are several of you representing the same group, please select a spokesperson. Please do not repeat the same comments someone else has offered. Please note also that this public comment time is not the appropriate forum for commenting on matters related to alleged employee misconduct. Any such matters should be brought promptly to the attention of the library interim CEO or the Human Resources Department, where matters can be properly addressed in compliance with established library policies and procedures. A 5-minute time limit will be allowed for each person, for each speaker. Each speaker should give their name and their address. First one is Mr. Michael Torres. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good evening, board trustees. As you know, my name is Michael Torres. I'm president of ASME Local 3395, representing the Indianapolis Public Library workers. I would like the board to consider changing the monthly meetings to a day when we all close at 6 o'clock. So that would give us staff and maybe other people more opportunities to attend our meetings, as well as consider going to different branches as well as we used to. We've done it for a long time. At one point, our board meetings were on Thursdays, which allowed us more people to attend. So just those simple asks like that. Hope. And also about the search committee, I hope there's going to be enough time for the public to know when they can attend the public meetings, when those candidates are going to be available. Thank you for that. My role as president gave me an opportunity earlier this month to participate in a national panel discussion on organizing libraries and cultural institutions, workers that continue to make headlines. Whether it's Amazon or Starbucks, the movement continues to grow. Since I last mentioned the Chicago Art Institute's campaign a few months ago, several libraries and cultural institutions have joined the ranks of organized labor. Libraries such as Daniel Boone Regional Public Library, Missouri, and Philadelphia Museum of Art, Niles Main District Library, and campaigns to organize workers at Baltimore Enoch Pratt Free Library or the Newberry Public Library. What this panel reminded me was that we are all laborers, all workers, and often because of the profession and the commitment we pledge to our community, we are often added duties we do not expect to be performing as frontline support library staff. From the article, Vocational Awe and Librarianship by Fobazi Erta, he opens with a story about Shara Kowalski and other librarians administering nasal, better known as Narcan, to patrons in and around McPherson Square branch in Philadelphia. Since the article was shared 16,000 times, Kowalski has saved dozens more lives administering Narcan. More libraries have followed this lead, including IndyPL, where many of our frontline staff have been trained on how to administer Narcan. These and other expectations that become part of our everyday work are an example of how tasks are creeping into our daily expectations. Another example is security. In the beginning, it may have seemed predominantly as a means to preserve and protect property, but now it encompasses the safety and security of staff and patrons. Just read the incident reports and you'll get a feel of what staff have encountered. Ertar writes, vocational awe refers to the set of ideas, values, and assumptions librarians have about themselves, and the profession that result in beliefs that libraries as institutions are inherently good and sacred, and therefore beyond critique. He breaks it up in three parts: the mythos of libraries and librarianship, locating the library in institutional oppression, and the matrodom is not a long-lasting career. I'd be glad to send you the article, link to the article. At Wednesday's Municipal Corporations Committee meeting, interim CEO Michelle Hayes presented our 2023 proposed budget, where Councilman Frank Muscari asked about our hours and services, particularly Sundays. It seemed like Councilman Muscari was discovering what our work plate holds, working in our public libraries. I took this question about Sundays as an avenue to begin that discussion on the way to give staff some relief, some time to regroup, or just mental health day. In speaking with our members, they certainly are in favor of discussing Sunday hours. One said, I hope to hear of the reduction of Sundays soon. We just need more time for our mental health. In part 3 of the article, it reads, tasked with the responsibility of sustaining democracy and intellectual freedom, taking a mental health day feels shameful. All is easily weaponized against the worker, allowing anyone to deploy a vocational purity test in which the worker can be accused of not being devout or passionate enough to serve without complaint. Our union is always interested in having a discussion on how we can improve our staff's mental health. Our Sunday hours seems like a good start. After all, when we're in a good place, we're better in serving our community fully and completely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Can I ask a question? Michael, tell me again what you said about at the very beginning about the day that we meet and the time.
Well, I was asking for you guys to consider changing the date from either from Wednesday to Friday, since we close at 6 or 5 on those days, and just going to the different branches like we used to.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I will add that we are trying to not reinstate, but go back to the branches. There are some logistical problems or issues, obstacles that we're working on, and we hope to do that in the near future. Thank you, Mr. Torres. Willie Bias? Willie? Billis? Billis? Did he step outside?
He signed in, but the library security assistant.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he wanted to speak or not.
Just wanted to say one thing. Thank you, Michael, for always bringing up the fact that the library is doing far more. The whole idea of the safety issues and looking out for the safety issues, the security of both the staff and the patrons. The idea that there are even more issues like administrative, or at least knowing how to administer an archive. There are so many issues that the library staff is facing. So thank you for always reminding us of those issues. They are important ones, and they're ones that we as a board need to be mindful of.
Angie, do we have any letters? Okay, we'll move on to item 4, approval of the minutes of the executive regular and special meetings. This will be the August 9th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting held August 9th, 2022? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Angie, can we have a call to vote?
Mr. Peterman.
Okay.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Matada.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Judge Salinas.
Approved.
Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
That carries. Now the minutes of the regular meeting, August 22nd, 2022. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, which was held on August 22nd, 2022?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion on that? Or correction? Seeing none, Angie, can we have a call on the roll, please?
Mr. Peterman.
Approved.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Matada.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Judge Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. We'll move on to the committee reports. The Finance Committee, Dr. Payne.
Right on up to the table. CFO.
Welcome aboard. Come on.
Good evening.
Good evening. What page are you gonna be on?
So, the finance report starts on page 23 through 48.
Thank you.
I will start on page 24. Page 24 is the operation fund expense and revenue. So, for our revenue, we ended up at 57% of our budget, which is a total of $27,143,222. This is a increase from last year, but not much because it was still at 57% from last year for the revenue. And for the expenditures, we're at 53% this year and 52% was last year. And the total amount was $28,796,022. Last year was 26.9 million. And on page 25 is our charts overview. And this will reflect that we're in comparison from last year. And pages 26 through 28 is our detailed income statement. Any questions on the detailed income statement? Page 29 is our cash flow on our operation fund, and this is reviewed on a weekly basis to ensure that we're sustaining our operation cash fund. And last year at this time was 30.8 million, and this year we're at 34 million.
Can you say a little bit more about that increase? Did COVID make a difference there or what?
It's a variety of earning more interest. It's, you know, it's a little bit of everything, but and different more governmental funds but we didn't get more property taxes or anything, so that didn't count, but it's more interest from and refunds. Any other questions on the cash flow? And page 30 is the receipts and disbursements. $31 is our investment report. Any questions on the investment reports? Then page 32 through 41 is just the detail for each fund. And that is the end of the treasury report.
Is there anything that stands out or anything that, at least for this month, that you caught for concern?
No,
Any questions?
actually is in line with last year. So,
Questions from the board? Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the report of the treasurer for August 2022 for
So
filing of audit? Didn't move. There's a second.
Second.
Any further discussion on the board? Seeing none, Andy, can we have a call to vote?
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Mercado.
Approved.
Ms. Kane.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Judge Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Wood.
Approved.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Move on to item D. Oh, go ahead, Inspector.
I was at the city county council meeting for the municipal corporation. And I just wanted to say how proud I was of both you and our interim CEO. You gave your report to council. It answered every question they asked. So thank you so much for representing.
So we provided a presentation for your review within your packet.
Great.
Go ahead.
And item 5B is the audit for the 2021 annual comprehensive financial report. Few things I want to point out is that we did receive a clean audit, which is excellent. And then on page 19, it provides financial highlights. I think this is a good guide for the board to review. It tells you about our total assets and our total funds and our net position. So for ending 2021, which is reflected on page 19 and also page 30 of the audit, our total asset is 316 million. And page 31, we reflect the total funds, which was 174 million. And page 32 will show our net position that increased from 2020 to 17 million. 17.5 million.
Ms. Campbell, we asked at a previous meeting if we could have some time to go through some training with you so that we can better understand the fiscal affairs. Because we know that currently in the budget season, your work has been, as Dr. Payne has pointed out, it's been outstanding already. And so making sure that we are in step with you and able to actually deliberate, because the board should be doing and involved with deliberation and not just giving the stamp of approval. Would you please make some time for us to go through some of that kind of professional development?
I
that
sure
helps us
will.
with deeper understanding of the fiscal affairs. That would be so very helpful.
Okay, I sure will. I appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Do you have any questions or comments on the audit for 2021 from the board?
So for item 5C, this is resolution 50 for 2020. This is approval of Communico Care Attend and Reserve Software License Renewal. The background of this resolution is that the library uses this software provided by Communico for the public-facing website calendar as managed by the Library Communications Department and for the patrons' access to reserved programs, attendance, and library study room reservation. This software license renewal calls for the Communico content management system and module attends and reserve has an annual cost of $40,250 for a total, it's a 3-year contract of a total of $120,750. This is funded by the operations fund.
And it's in our budget already.
Yes. This didn't go through our finance committee. That's why I'm bringing it to the board for approval.
Does the board have any questions on resolution 50 of Ms. Campbell? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve resolution 50? Is there a second? Okay. Any further discussion on resolution 50? Seeing none from the board, actually, can we have a call to roll, please?
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Martada.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Judge Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
Item D.
Next item is the resolution 51 for 2022. This I'm asking for the board approve for, it's a second addendum for Mary Rankin. She's our CPA consultant who's been working with the finance committee since, I think, October last year. So I'm asking for approval of this resolution to extend her contract to December of this year. Right now, we're currently transitioning the CFO role from Carolyn, so she can fulfill her controller's role. And then Mary, this contract will continue working as a consultant in senior accountant role into the end of December.
So she'll help facilitate the transition.
Yes. to ensure that the day-to-day operation goes smoothly without any interruptions.
Does the board have any further questions on resolution 51, Ms. Campbell? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve, please? Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion from the board on resolution 51?
Just a quick question. How does this contract compare to others where we're really working with the audit, a person who has her background, she comes from the state, et cetera? Is there a comparison that we did before approval of this, submitting this contract?
Well, I believe her background as being a CPA and working for the state and having contract management experience from the state and federal level. And then she also helped ensure that we're in compliance for our audit, make sure, she did a pre-audit. So we're, make sure that that's one of the reasons why what helped us get a clean audit. So with her background as her specialty, we are also looking into revising our accounting manual, which I really want that done before the end of this calendar year, and some other policies as well. So her background and expertise really helps in that area and ensure that everything else, my goals are met for the end of this calendar year.
Any further questions on resolution 51? Or discussion, I should say. Angie, can we have a call to the roll, please?
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Murtado.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Judge Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Ms. Campbell, thank you so much.
That's complete.
We'll move on to item 6, diversity policy, human resources committee. Ms. Triplett.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few notes from Tisha Galarse, the acting HR director. She notes that the the updated harassment policy and new bullying policy will be available for review at the October committee meeting and the board meeting for approval. They will also be providing flow charts to employees and the executive committee so that they understand how incidents will be routed when they are reported through the new tool that is being implemented. Administrators for the tool have been trained and had time to review it, and it will actually be launched on October 1st for all employees. They'll do communication about the launch of the tool by email, flyers, and flyers to the branches, and as well as in the payroll system and intranet. In the chief diversity officer and the interim HR director are visiting all of the departments and branches to talk about the climate improvement plan and the reporting tool. Any questions on that? With regard to the CEO search, the extended announcement closed on Sunday. I don't have the update from that, but as of Friday, there were 23 applicants cumulative, and the search committee will receive access to those applicants and that information later this week, and will meet to select semifinalists on October 5th. And we've scheduled the semifinal interviews with the search committee for October 24th and 25th. And then final interviews, the final interview process will occur on November 30th and December 1st with the candidates. I believe it's on Wednesday evening, they'll do community presentations. And on Thursday will actually be the interview with the board. That's the update. I don't know if there are any questions.
A quick question. So December 1st, is that like during?
You know, I do not have the time. Tisha is working on that, and I think she's been in correspondence with the board about availability. So I'm hoping that we'll get that wrapped up shortly so that folks can plan.
And is that gonna be in person or will it be?
It will be
Zoom?
in person.
Will it be a Zoom?
Final
Okay.
interviews will be in person. The candidates will travel here to make presentations to the community, to meet with the executive committee and the employees, and as well as to interview with the board.
From the comment that was made earlier by Michael Torres. I'm sorry? How well informed are the staff in regards to those meetings?
The staff, in terms of,
The meetings with the candidates? I thought your question was the extended time and closing and when are the candidates coming in? That's part of what the question was.
My question was, hoping that when the dates are given in advance, so that people can plan when to come to the public meetings. For staff.
yeah, I want to thank our library staff and team that has been working with Bradbury Miller on this process. We had to do quite a pivot when we didn't get the number of applicants that we wanted to, that would give us enough margin for reviewing candidates who are fully qualified, to give us enough, make sure that it's a competitive process and that there's actually a good number of candidates. So we had to pivot. We're dealing with a fairly large community committee, which is great, but we've had to work on making sure that we could have a quorum at the meetings. And so our interim HR director, communications officer, as well as strategy officer have been meeting with BMA weekly to make sure that going forward, we have a seamless process to kind of roll over some of those bumps that we've had in this transition. And so the board, the committee has been receiving weekly updates from Bradbury Miller, and that will continue. I imagine that all of the scheduling will be completed within the week. I just gave the dates. And
Yeah,
so,
those emails just came out today.
Yeah.
As far as, so it's not like they've been out for a couple weeks and staff doesn't know. So I just got the emails around noon as far as the projected dates. I'm sure, I'm confident, hope, and her staff and the committee will get those dates out to the staff and the public, and where the public is allowed to be there, that they will be. But again, it's not like they've been out for a week or something. I just got it today at noon, so.
right. And besides the fact, right now, we're looking at the end of October for the semifinal interviews, which are not the public meetings. The public meetings will be the review of the candidates for selection of semifinalists and the presentation to the community on November 30th. So. But we'll work with communications to make sure that all the dates are out as soon as we can. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, those are important as well.
Yes.
Any other questions or hope your update? I know if it was done or not.
My update is done.
Any other questions for Ms. Trimble? All right, thank you. I do appreciate that. We'll move on to number 7, the Facilities Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. During our Facilities Committee meeting that we had on September the 13th, it was pretty lengthy. We had a lot to discuss. Some of it surrounding the security incident database. I know that they're working on that, Dana and Jared, right? Garrett. I always get that mixed up. But they're working on a few things that we as a committee was looking at to try to update, to look at some of the accurate data, and how it's condensed down for us to review. So it has better context to some of the information that's on there. We also had, we had 3 board resolutions, and there was one addition to that dealing with the 38th Street branch rooftop unit that went out over there. Each one of the resolutions, 52, 53, and 54, were all recommended for due pass. So I know we have to vote on each one of those separately. So the first resolution was dealing with the construction contract of the new HM lighting inside Central Library branch. Right now, that's currently the original lighting that's inside that branch there. And so so they did their due diligence with making sure that they got the bids and quotes out for recommendation. And we also approved that one. So if we have to go one by one.
It's Adam's time.
He is.
Adam, did you want to come up and is Adam's available for any questions?
Not yet.
What page is that?
It is on 49. It's resolution 52.
No, Adam tried to stay out there, but I try to help you out. So just to try to go through it a lot faster, so Adam didn't have to repeat everything that he went into.
I didn't want to.
Appreciate it.
No.
No, you're driving this bus.
No.
So Adam, did you want to add anything to what Curtis said?
No, well, actually, the only other thing that I would add is that all 4 of these, and the 4th we'll get to, worked with Gwen Simmons, our manager of purchasing and diversity supply. And she helped us reach other vendors that may not have been on our list to make sure that it reached a wide audience. But that's it. Mr. Bixby has hit the nail on everything else.
We do have to approach these one at a time. So we'll start with resolution 52. Any questions on resolution 52 from Mr. Bixby or from Adam? On the board? All right, just in case. Is there a motion to approve? There's a second? Any further discussion? Angie, can we have a call to the roll, please?
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Mortada.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Joe Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
Move on to resolution 53, Curtis.
This resolution was dealing with extending the lease agreement with the Glendale branch as they move forward with trying to get that branch up and running. There was no increase to the lease agreement that is going to be extended out. So the committee recommended unanimous that we pass.
Any questions of Curtis or Adam on resolution 53? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Further discussion on that? Seeing none, Angie, can we have a call to roll, please?
Mr. Biederman. Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Mortada.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Joe Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Move on to resolution 54, Curtis.
This resolution is dealing with the utilization of the Decatur branch grounds for Decatur schools to use for the cross country. It was a better or easier access for them to use instead of running around the branch. I actually went out there and took a look at it.
Oh, did you?
A couple weekends ago. But I can see why they want to try to go around the branch, and it does protect the library from indemnification if anyone's hurt while they're running out there. So there's no
We're good on liability.
assessment with any.
We're good on liability.
We're good on liability.
And there's a certain time,
A certain time.
period that they run it.
I'm sorry, is there anything on this, Adam, as well?
Initial 2-year term, and it is terminationable, whatever that word is, terminable, thank you, by either party, with very little notice if necessary.
Any questions of either Mr. Bixby or Adam? Is there a motion to approve resolution 54?
So moved.
Second? Second. Further discussion from the board? Seeing none, Angie, can we have a call to roll, please?
Mr. Biederman. Mr. Bixby,
Approved.
Dr. Mortada,
Approved.
Ms. Payne,
Approved.
Dr. Robinson,
Approved.
Dr. Salinas,
Approved.
Ms. Trevor.
Approved.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Resolution 55.
All right, and my apologies to the board. This happened after the facilities committee met, but we needed to get it through due to a long lead time. So does the board have an attachment for 7D? Okay, good, thank you.
In hard copy.
I did not communicate well with Angie, and so she saved my banking on this one. Make sure you guys got all the info. East 38th Street has a rooftop unit which provides cooling and heat. We found out that the condenser in the cooling part of the unit went bad. It needed to be replaced. We got an initial quote to replace the condenser. That was just over $20,000. This is a 20-year-old unit, so we were interested to see what would be the replacement cost of the full unit. A quick quote from a vendor came in at just over $80,000. So 4 times the price, but it's a 20-year-old unit, which will incur more expenses. We determined it was a fair value to procure a brand new unit. So we sent out an invitation to quote several vendors, again, working with Gwendolyn Simmons. We received, let's see, we sent it out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3 of which were XBEs. We received 1 response for just under $89,000. We think this is a fair price. The reason why we had to rush this is because the lead time is 40 weeks, which puts it to July of 2023 for cooling. That's indicative of lead times for building assets right now. And so Ellis Mechanical is a vendor that's known to the library. They do good work. And I wanted to say also one thing that you might see in the next few years is more of these. And the other reason that, excuse me, that we think it's a good value is that the old unit uses an old refrigerant R22, which was actually banned for import and production completely in 2020. And we'll have 100% ban of import. The next level that will raise to 100% ban is in 2030. It's part of the Montreal Protocol back in 1987. This new unit uses a more advanced refrigerant, R410A. It's much more efficient and will actually help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions overall.
Any questions from the board, Curtis or Adam, on resolution 55? Go ahead.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there's potentially going to be more coming up.
We have quite a few older units that still use R22. And so if we were to face the same problem 10 or 15 years ago, we might fix the condenser and recharge it with already existing R22. But the supply of R22 is rapidly dwindling since it is forbidden to come into the country. And we just have a finite amount of existing stock. And so prices will exponentially go up. And so you'll see more replacements of our R22 units to get into R410A. To give you an indication of how advanced refrigerants are, we're using R410A. One of the most advanced in the past few years is YF1234A. So they're already up in the thousands. And you'll see more of that in the next few years as well.
So is this something that is potentially an item for a bond issuance in the future?
I'm sorry, an item
For a bond issuance in the future, or just replace all of them? If we're
potentially, if we want to address it. So that's part of the facilities condition assessment. Refrigerant will be a part of that. And once we get that data in the next 6-ish months, we'll start playing with the numbers, and refrigerant will be part of the conversation. Yes.
And you said 89,000, right? Roughly,
Yes.
from the Ellis bid, and that was already discussed with our fiscal office.
Yeah, we've discussed it with finance, and it is coming out of the 2020 bond, Fund 482. Unfortunately, that had to replace the Franklin Road parking lot resurface right at the moment. However, that was the 2020 bond, which we got in fall of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and we have not spent anywhere near as much as we had hoped. So we have plenty of funds. Hopefully, many of those projects will come in under budget, and we won't have to repay this amount with a future bond. But we'll have to see how the funds go. But right at the moment, yes, definitely, we have enough money to pay for this.
So that's the implication. Thank you. And thank you for always really responding to the requests that we have for looking through the vendors and trying to find not only the best cost, but the equity of opportunity for the vendors too. You always done that, so thank you.
Well, absolutely.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 55? There's a second.
Second.
Further discussion or questions from the board? Seeing none, Angie, can we have a call to roll?
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Mr. Bixby.
Approved.
Dr. Murtada.
Approved.
Ms. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Robinson.
Approved.
Judge Salinas.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved.
Thank you.
I have one other question to ask.
Yep.
Adam, in our other facilities meeting, this is back in the 13th, we had talked about the learning curve.
Yes.
And you said you were, this was, right now, we're in a discovery phase, so to speak. And I had asked a few questions about who else we might be ascertaining information about and who else we might be surveying and that type of thing. When will we get an update about that? It's such an important part of.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one. I'll talk to Mike, because it's his project, and I'll see if he can get in touch with KRM and David Jakes, the consultant, to see what their progress has been in the past few weeks.
That'd be great. Thanks,
Sure.
Adam.
Thank you, Alan. We'll move on to item 8, the Library Foundation report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, President. Every month, the Library Foundation provides an update to the library board. We welcomed new development officer, Brianna Cole, last month. She will manage the staff campaign, Friends of the Library, and a portfolio of foundation, corporate, and individual donors. With her impressive credentials and commitment to our mission, she is an incredible asset to the team. In September, our board met with the Martindale Brightwood Branch Library. Before the meeting, several board and staff members took a walking tour of the Martindale Brightwood neighborhood with through two eyes.
Samson.
During the meeting, Martin University National Center of Racial Equity and Inclusion conducted a training on asset-based philanthropy. The board and staff reflected on how the concept of asset-based philanthropy can help us work more effectively with donors and create a more welcoming environment for an increasingly diverse board and staff. We thank branch manager Jenna Matrix for her presentation and branch tour, and the entire staff for their hospitality. The foundation thanks 143 donors who made gifts last month. The following are our top corporate and foundation donors. If you should have an opportunity to thank these donors, we would be grateful. AARP Indiana, AT&T Foundation, Indiana Farm Bureau's Insurance, McAllister Machinery Company, Kroger's Company. This month, the Library Foundation is proud to provide more than $56,000 to the library. Examples of major initiatives supported include a Place to Call Home podcast, early literacy specialists, international festival and celebrations, on the road to reading, and preschool package programs. That ends my report for this evening.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
It's not a question. I just want to commend the foundation for taking that tour of Martindale Brightwood. Samson Livingston does Through Two Eyes, and he's amazing. So I'm very happy to know that they're doing things like that. Yeah, please let them know.
And everyone was, spoke so highly of the
Yeah,
experience, and it was just a great meeting.
good.
Thanks. We'll move on to the report of our interim CEO. Michelle.
Thank you, Judge Salinas, as well as the rest of the board. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. The staff of the Indianapolis Public Library continues to focus on our values of racial equity, adaptability, diversity, and inclusiveness. We continue to hold meetings with staff at branch locations as well as departments. We have a town hall scheduled for tomorrow morning to introduce our new CFO, Lolita Campbell. Additionally, we will have revived and adjusted the monthly internal staff newsletter based on staff input. And so we thank the communications department for that. The budget for 2023 was presented to the municipal committee on September 22nd by the CEO and the CFO. It was well received, and we will continue to request additional funds to meet our priority areas. Unfortunately, in the last month, the Pike Branch Library experienced an active shooter event. We are very thankful that no one was injured, patrons or staff. Immediately following the incident, Pike School Police were on the scene, and then officers from IMPD. The area was secured and the branch was closed to the public. Library staff and administration coordinated IMPD to share information, and 2 suspects were detained. It's important to recognize Deb Aaron Fleming and Liz Scholl for their leadership during a very scary incident. Deb, Aaron, and Liz and the rest of staff that were on duty handled the situation exceptionally well. Immediately after the incident, I went to the branch to assist in coordinating with staff authorities and offer support. Chief Public Service Officer Gregory Hill was in close contact via phone immediately following the incident and many days after. And in addition to that, Adam Parsons, our facilities director, also came on scene to offer support. IndyPL Security Officer Dana Amell, along with Gregory, debriefed with branch staff 2 days after the incident to understand concerns and the timeline of events. EAP, Employee Assistance Program, was notified immediately and asked to lend support to the Pike staff. It now appears that nothing that IndyPL could have done policy-wise to prevent the incident. Indiana laws allow for the ability to carry firearms with very little limitation. That said, we are continuing to work to understand what the library's options are to move forward as safely as possible and what we can learn from this to adjust operations or procedures. We will continue to provide active shooter training and practice situational awareness. Programming of note, the Marion McFadden Memorial Lecture, an annual feature program presented free to the public with our partners at the IndyPL Foundation, will take place this Thursday, September the 29th at the Madam Walker Legacy Theater. This year's lecture will be given by author and artist Kadir Nelson, who was originally scheduled to visit in 2020, but delayed due to COVID-19. Nelson has received multiple Caldecott medals for his work as a painter, illustrator, and author, and is well known for his striking covers for the New Yorker magazine and works that have been adapted to postage stamps. He has authored and or illustrated over 30 books for children, and in 2020 received the Caldecott Medal for children's book illustration for his artwork in The Undefeated, written by Kwame Alexander. His contributions to the book also earned him a 2020 Coretta Scott King Illustrator Award, and the book was named 2020 Newbery Honor Book for Children's Literature. Additional programming this fall includes our circulating sound concert series at Central, as well as several programs for teens, school-age kids, and early learners at all IndyPL locations. Additionally, as we are in the midst of Hispanic Heritage Month, we're excited to partner with the local Mexican consulate to offer the Contemporary Mexican Film Festival on several dates, along with our robust collection of book, ebook, and movie titles available in Spanish. Sincerely, Michelle Hayes. Are there any questions due to the incident at Pike? I wanted to make sure to pause to see if there were any questions about that.
I do have a broader question about, and we talked about this, the exceptions for carrying a gun. I know that in this incident, no one was in the library with a gun, right? But are the libraries, or is there a library association that's working to perhaps lobby to add libraries and as an exception to the open carry?
So we reached out to the Indiana Library Federation, of which Mike Williams, who is an employee of IndyPL, is board chair. And we reached out to them several months ago to see if they would advocate regarding that. They reached out to some legislators and indicated that this time there was no ability to move on that. And so we're not going to be able to move on it at this point, but it's not something that we've given up on. But unfortunately, we're not treated as schools. And so people can come in with firearms.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There are 3 exceptions. Schools, the state fair, and riverboat casinos. Those are the 3.
I did ask Michelle to, because she said we can't call the police until they, or if they brandish the weapon. Would it benefit us to have signs in letting people know, can't do anything about you carrying it, but brandishing, then we're gonna call police. We don't want to encourage people to test us on that, but I share the concern because one of the times we're at right now, and the fact that it's, you know, it's allowable by state statute, so
Yeah.
Whatever we can do.
I think we should, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, as a resident and a citizen, I've actually been in touch with my state representative and state senator to ask them to look into this as an issue. I think the libraries certainly warrant the same kind of consideration as schools. And so I started my own person.
Well, I know the courthouse, they're prohibited from after a certain point, because they have to go through a metal detector. And I didn't know, we weren't on that exemption list you just read out. I don't know how they do it there,
Where?
in the courthouse.
At the courthouse.
There's other statutes that govern
Okay.
courthouses.
Yeah.
I think it's imperative also that we look at our security assessment again. I know that we try to move away from having law enforcement inside the branches, but maybe a secondary security measure put in place where, you know, law enforcement is available. Because all of our branches are safe places, to my knowledge, and we hope that they stay that way. But there again, the law has changed where people can carry firearms inside the branches. However, I think we should look at that assessment again and dig a little bit deeper to make sure that our staff and the patrons are safe as they go inside the library branches.
I concur.
Yes. They were not PIPE students. I believe that the individual that had the gun initially was not a student. Thank you.
I like what Hope is suggesting, however. You said that you were individually contacting the legislature. I think that's smart as all get out. As a board, we cannot do that. We've been guided and told about our own, our guidelines, what we can and cannot do as a board. But as individuals, we have legislators that we should be contacting and talking about the importance of the library as a public hub of learning, and certainly one that's a hub of a community. And so I'd like to second that. It's not a motion. I'm thinking of a song. I second that emotion.
I don't know about that, but I think it's an uphill battle considering where we're at right now. But we do have a lot of programs for kids, so I
Yes.
There's
imagine, I don't
such
know,
a nexus.
it's a
and
tough
such-
thing for someone to say no.
Is there a way that the
Absolutely.
board could draft a letter through legal to our, you know, at
Is
least?
there any reason
stay in
that
our
precludes
position.
are doing that? I mean, could we not even make a resolution that, you know, we send to as, you know, one of the largest libraries in the state? I think-
We just can't say it for us. We think it should be applicable to all libraries.
Yes, for all
for
libraries,
all
but
libraries.
we can
Take
lead,
the lead.
we can lead in that process.
I concur.
In that process, it gives us an opportunity to say some things about the role of the library in terms of a public serving institution. And in our documents, we have very clearly in our public trust documents, we have that as a part of our own trust as a board. And so that coming forward, I'll wait until you finish.
Well, I'm gonna ask Michelle and team up with our legal and see what our options are. I think it's a necessary thing. I commend the board for all being united on this, and I commend Michelle and our staff at that facility for their efforts.
And I think Dr. Mercado was.
I was, but the judge and our
Take your
legal
time,
counsel
Lord.
were conferring. I would just wanted to reference our document in terms of our public trust document, if we can pull some language from that public trust document, that would be useful.
All right, next.
The next thing we have before the board is finances, personnel, and travel resolution 56-2022. This is a routine procedural action that appoints new salary hires, approves new hourly hires, compensation changes, resignations, travel, and financial related claims and warrants. The financial impact has already been accounted for in the budget for 2022.
It is on page 78. Do you have any questions on resolution 56 of the board? Your motion to approve resolution 56?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Any discussion on resolution 56? Seeing none, Angie, can we have a call to roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Peterman,
Approved.
Mr. Bixby,
Approved.
Dr. Matata,
Approved.
Ms. Payne, Dr. Robinson,
Approved.
Justin Ennis,
Approved.
and Mr. Bo.
Approved.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item B. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to be sure. So we're good?
Okay.
We're good?
Sorry.
Okay, so we're good? Okay, all right, we'll move on to unfinished business, actually new business. For the last year, Carolyn Adams has filled the role of interim chief financial officer and treasurer for the library. Ms. Adams has filled this role very well and with prudence and effectiveness. I want to offer my thanks for myself, on behalf of myself and the board, and commend her for all her efforts in assuming and fulfilling those obligations. So thank you, Ms. Adams. Appreciate it. As introduced last month, the library hired a new chief financial officer, Ms. Campbell. As such, Ms. Adams has assumed her position as comptroller. Ms. Adams is also tendering her resignation as treasurer effective October 1st, 2022. As a result, there will be a vacancy in the office of treasurer that needs to be filled for the remainder, this for the board, the remainder of the current term of the office of treasurer beginning October 1st, 2022, ending December 31st, 2022. And this for the board, treasurer for the board. Pursuant to our bylaws, election of officers of the board is to be accomplished by nomination and roll call. We would like to proceed with filling this vacancy. So I will entertain a motion to fill the vacancy of office of treasurer for the board. So moved. Can I have a nomination for Ms. Campbell to fill that position?
I nominate Ms. Campbell.
All right, any discussion on that? Ms. Campbell, will you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Ms. Campbell has been nominated for the position of treasurer of the board commencing October 1st, 2022. No further nominations. There are no nominations are further closed. I will call for a roll call and vote to elect Ms. Campbell as treasurer to fill the vacancy for the office of treasurer for the board effective October 1st, 2022 and ending December 1st, 2022. We do need the majority of the board. So Angie, can we have a call to roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Peterman,
Okay.
Mr. Bixby,
Approved.
Dr. Matata,
Approved.
Ms. Payne,
Approved.
Dr. Robinson,
Approved.
Justin Ennis,
Approved.
and Mr. Bo.
Aye.
There you go. Ms. Campbell, thank you so much for agreeing to be our treasurer of the board. I appreciate this. Welcome aboard in that capacity. All right, at this time is made available, we'll go on to item 12. At this time is made available for discussion items not on the agenda that of interest to the board members. If you have any of those, please either bring them up now or bring them to my attention or the board's attention at a future date. Our next meeting is October 24th at 6:30. Just to have, so everyone is aware of that. Is there anything else for the board for the good of the cause?
Just one thing, the November meeting, is that going to be on the 28th?
Oh,
Is it just worth?
He's pulling it up on the.
oh, no. Oh, it's-
Good. All right.
It should be.
I just, if it was gonna be during Thanksgiving week, I was gonna recommend. Looks like that's already been.
But it's worth noting that December is early because Christmas holiday. That's on the ninth.
So when is
No
December?
conflict.
December's on the 19th.
Oh, wait, hang on, November.
November's
the
the
28th.
28th.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get in between you and turkey and potato pie. Or me.
All right. All right, I'm gonna call this meeting I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. Thank you, folks.